obviously came from great basketball bloodlines. His father was an NBA player. And I remember talking to Lon Kruger, and then Dana Altman was involved in the recruitment of Ski at that time, about this guy who could really shoot it. And boy, could he.
He was a guy that had kind of a funny shot, but just had a knack for getting it off quickly. You know, he didn't elevate very much on it. He didn't release it even very high. It was kind of out in front of his body a little bit, but he was just so good getting it off quickly and moving without the ball. He really used screens well. Very, very quick release, and you know, just had a real basketball savvy. I mean, he could draw fouls, he could get to the line, he could score in other ways. But when he had he was knocking down shots, he was able to put up big numbers.
Ski was just a tough guy who really had a difficult time with bad knees. And I remember being on some road trips where Ski literally had ice packs on his knees the entire trip. And by the time he was a senior, those knees were about to go, but yet just kept shooting and leading the team.
He was athletic enough to have really been a star if he could have been 100% healthy throughout his career. I mean, he had a great career, as it were, but, you know, he could have been even better if, you know, he wouldn't have had the foot injuries and the surgeries and all that.
He's a perfect example of what happens when, whether by choice or, in his case, an injury, what can happen when you trade a year early in that career for a fifth year. I think it had he was young anyway. He played the first semester at 17 years old at K-State. He had a tremendous basketball IQ and a really strong work ethic with an innate sense of confidence.
I think he just had the mentality of being a scorer, and it was in his blood.
One night on March 24th that he was the most amazing show that I've ever seen in a Kansas State uniform. You know, he scored 62 points, and the amazing thing about that ball game was he only played 28 minutes. 28 minutes, and you got to figure the other team had the ball half the time. So in 14 minutes, he scored 62 points.
When it got to about 50, people were like, holy cow, we are watching history in the making. And there was still quite a bit of time left in the game.
He was hitting shot after shot after shot. And Fresno State was hanging in there, and they're playing a good game, but Askia Jones would just go out deeper and deeper, and he was hitting something from 25, 26 feet away.
Askia, you got to understand that he had no real ego about him, in the sense that when he come over to me and he sat down by me, I said, we're just taking you out for a second. He goes, Coach, don't take me out till I miss. And it wasn't an error, it was just don't take me out till I miss. I said, well, just give me a quick ball. He goes, Coach, trust me, I'm not tired. And when we put him back in, he scored 11 points just like that. And so then when we took him out, I remember I asked him, I said, so how many points do you think you got? And he said, 40-something. I said, you got 57. And he goes, 3 more, I have 60. And again, just 3 more, I got 60.
I'll never forget the look when they put him back in the game that Altman got. And Altman's like, he's about to break a record that, you know, this is his only shot. And you know what? At the time, it seemed like if you're the opposing team, what a horrible thing to do. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about it now if they hadn't put him back in. There was nothing that could be done in that game to slow him down, be it being taken out of the game, being fouled, being double teamed. It was one of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen in person, and probably the greatest sports effort in a single game I've ever seen from a Kansas State athlete, without a doubt, and that includes a lot of great football years.
One of the greatest shooting performances of all time.